Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. My name is Drew.
And my name is Corey.
Welcome to the fourth episode of PC Planet. We've got a few fun stories today, a couple of stories that will grind your gears. But the first
Yes.
story, we're going to talk about the Nvidia RTX 4080 and 4090 apparently going to be available in September. And
And
will
kind of feel bad for everyone who fought so hard to get the 30 series.
Uh, hello. I just picked up a 3060, so let's not remind me of that. Not the, I mean, I don't really care.
To be fair, you picked up a 3060. You didn't go out and find a 3090.
That's true, and I also upgraded from a 5600 XT, so that was well needed anyway.
Yeah. Requires a 1500 watt power supply.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, this goes back to that PCI Express 5.0 power supply that we discussed last week that can deliver 600 watts of power because that's what
Mhm.
apparently these cards are going to take under load.
Yeah, because the 4090 and the 4090 Ti will draw up to 600 watts of power under load, requiring at the very least, a 1200 watt PSU.
Yeah, and if you want to power everything else that you're going to have with that, and let's be honest, if you've got a 4080 or a 4090, especially a 4090, you've probably
Hmm.
got other high power draw equipment as well.
Oh yeah,
So
because
you,
generally you're
yeah,
not going to get like a 4090 or 4090 Ti unless you're doing like, I mean, granted there are going to be, high dollar mafiosos out there that are going to grab one for gaming. But a good chunk of these people are going to be doing it for video editing, which means they're going to have a crap load of hard drives running at the same time, possibly in RAID. They're going to have a high grade motherboard. They're going to have a processor that's good for multi threading, for encoding, and things like that, along with a crap load of RAM.
yeah, for sure. I was going to say either Threadripper or Xeon.
Yeah, exactly. 1500 watts. God.
Too bad we're not sponsored by Seasonic.
Right.
But we are sponsored by that like button, so hit that like button.
Yes, agreed. I'll
Um,
drink to that.
I will drink to that as well, but I don't have a drink. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. I have water. I do not, however, have beer.
And we're
Uh,
looking at the what is it? The 8102. Trying to figure out their SKU here. So I would assume that the let's see, they only got four SKUs right now. Um, Hang on. What is the GH202? I'm going to assume that that's the 4090 Ti.
probably.
Nvidia Hopper GPU. Next Gen
Huh.
data center GPU. Oh, that's a GA100. 140 billion transistors.
That's a lot of transistors.
Um, Full transistor count 54.2 billion. Uh, Up to the GA100 GPU, up to 80 gigabytes of memory.
That's insane.
With a 40 megabyte L2 L3 cache, PCIe Gen 4, yada yada yada. Oh wait, hold up, that's Q4 2020. Oh, that was the announcement date. That's not the manufacturer date. See, Nvidia's or on the site, it's got the 4080, 4090, 4090 Ti, but then you have the actual SKUs, which are TU102, GA102, AD102, and GH202. And I'm not sure what those are supposed like what correlates to what. hang on, the 4080 should feature 16 gigabytes of GDDR6X memory running around 21 gigabits per second. The 4090 should pack somewhere between 20 to 30 gigs of GDDR6X memory.
Well, TU-102 is Turing, so that's going to be RTX 20 series. GA-102 is Ampere, so that's going to be 30 series.
Okay.
AD is Lovelace, so that's going to be the 40 series. And then H is Hopper, so the 50 series maybe?
I think Hopper is going to be the Enterprise chipset.
It could be the Enterprise chipset, absolutely.
One thing that I'm seeing here. So the 8102 flagship is rumored to feature 144 what SMs, I'm not sure what SMs are, distributed across 12 GPCs. I'm not sure what those are either. This results in a raw compute gain of over 2.5x 90 teraflops over the GA102. Now, 90 teraflops, to put this into perspective, the PlayStation 3 operated at 2.5 teraflops. It
That's
is
the entire
insane.
PlayStation 3.
Yes, the PS3 graphics power ran around 2.5, or I'm sorry, 3 teraflops. The Xbox 360 ran at 2.5. This is running 90 teraflops over the GA102. It is insane how far we have come.
It's insane how far we've come, and it's insane how far we have yet to go.
Oh yeah. Nvidia's paid TSMC 1.64 billion last quarter to reserve its share of the 5 nanometer pie, with another 1.8 bill to be paid in the first quarter of 2022.
Yep, and overall they'll be spending close to $10 billion for its supply for the 4080,
5
4090, and
nanometer.
the other 40 series cards.
Yeah,
That's a lot of dough.
man. And honestly, I feel bad. I feel bad. I feel like Nvidia almost needs to slow down because we still have people that are fighting to get their hands on 30 series and some people still fighting to get their hands on 20 series cards.
Or even 10 series, because, if it's all you can get, it's all you can get.
Exactly.
But we're already talking about 4080s and 4090s and 600 watts of power.
Yeah, because you still have people that when the 30 series launched, you had so many people that were like, wait, the 3070, that's 2080 Ti performance for only $500. Oh my God, this $1,200 card is only going to be worth $500. I need to sell it quick. And they sold their 2080 Ti for, $1,000, $1,200, and then found that they couldn't get a 3070 or 3080.
Because they just magically didn't exist all of a sudden.
Yeah. So at this point, you have these people that are like, well, I sold my 2080 Ti for $1,000 and couldn't get anything, so I guess I'll just deal with a 970 or something.
Yep, pretty much.
And that right there, honestly, is a big part of the reason why the older GPU prices have skyrocketed as well. Hopefully, they're starting to slowly go back to where they were, but oi, I couldn't imagine going from a 2080 Ti to a 970. Ouch.
Ugh, oof. Hopefully Intel can help break this thing with their Alchemist, which we now have the complete lineup for.
Do we?
We we do. We have the A300, A500, and A700. We also have the entry level A380. which apparently is going to stack up against the RTX 3050 and the 1660 Ti, as well as the Radeon RX 6500 XT from AMD. Looking at the performance benchmarks coming from Psi Software, so these cards do exist, and they are actually running software. OpenCL is roughly kind of on par with Ampere and Turing, the 3050 and 1660 Ti levels. Um,
Uh,
well, not quite on
I'm
par.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say on par is generous.
Well, competitive to say the least.
It's about 30% under the 3050 for their base model.
Keep in mind, it also only uses 75 watts of power.
I mean, that's fair, but considering the 3050 uses 130, I mean that it's like 1 penny versus 5 pennies. I mean, it's still a nickel.
That's true. It is kind of six of one, half dozen of the other.
Because I mean,
But
even a 400 watt $30 power supply, $20 $30 power supply will be able to run a 3050. So I mean, you don't really get much lower than that.
that's true. But if we are talking pure price performance ratios, it seems like the Intel GPUs are pretty good looking in terms of price performance and yeah, price and power ratios.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What we do not see, however, is performance metrics for the A500 and A700 series. The A500 is going to be mid range, and the A700 apparently is rumored to be on par with the 3070 Ti.
Okay.
If that's
GPU will come with 512 execution units, 4096 shader processor, and 16 gigs of GDDR6 memory. What's the VRAM for the 3070 Ti?
I ooh, that's a good question.
I'm gonna look it up. 3070 Ti VRAM. I
That's
want to
going to
say
be
it's
8 gigs and yeah, 8 gigs.
is it?
GDDR6X. Yep,
Gotcha. Okay, well it'll have more memory than the 3070 Ti.
twice as much even.
Yeah. Still curious about the performance though, because like I said in an earlier episode, every time Intel has tried to branch out from CPU manufacturing, they have bombed hardcore.
That's
So
true. And
we'll
even
see what
branching out from
happens.
x86. Anybody remember Itanium?
Ugh.
Exactly. But we'll see what happens. Um, as far as new GPUs, that pretty much wraps that up. As far as now, it's kind of just rumor mill, rumor mill. Uh, BioStar. Let's talk about BioStar.
I'll be honest. From what we're seeing here, if you're a gamer, BioStar doesn't give a shit about you.
But if you're a cryptocurrency miner, they want your money now.
Oh yeah, because that's all they care about apparently is money. So
Yes, they
basically,
have.
all those RX 580s and other GPUs you were hoping to get your hands on. Well, looks like BioStar is pumping those out only for pre-built mining systems.
Yeah, looks like they've got one, two, three, four, 8 of them in a box. Are
Because,
580s even profitable to mine on?
unfortunately, they are, and it has wreaked absolute hell in the used market because let me go ahead and pull up here. RX 580 launch price. It launched in the 580 launched in April 18th, 2017 at 200 US dollars. Okay, so 5 years ago at 200 US dollars. Now let me go ahead and pull up eBay real fast. eBay RX 580. And let me scroll down to sold items only. Pull this up. $385.
Ouch.
Yeah.
All I can
Here's
say is
a
ouch.
588 gig. Sold February 26th for $450. 320, 310, 308, 307 to 300. There are some in the 250 between 250 and 300 range, but a lot of these are selling between 350 to 400 because apparently they are great at I'm not a miner. I think it was Ethereum. I want to say it was
Yes.
Ethereum. So,
Yeah.
yeah, fun times.
Fun times in Biostar cryptocurrency land.
And it sucks because, like, man, I liked Biostar. One of my first motherboards was a Biostar running on an AM2 Plus platform.
Yeah, the very first PC that I ever built was a Biostar motherboard running an AMD Duron 800 megahertz. None of this quad core 8 thread nonsense. Single core, single thread. That's all you got. 800 megahertz. That's it.
Hey, I liked my FX 8320,
I liked my FX 6300.
and it was great if the heater went out in your house. You just run Crisis for a little bit and you're totally fine. Nice
That's
and
true.
toasty.
That's true.
But yeah, so, you know, could be having more 580s out there in the market, but no. Biostar throwing 8 of them in one rig for a pre-built mining system.
I never thought I'd see that happen, but okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, miners.
Anyways, what you got up next for us, Drew?
Well, more mining stuff, but this is maybe a little bit of a ha ha to the miners. Uh, there was a piece of software that was released. I actually saw this. I saw this in my notifications, and I thought, huh, that's probably a virus. Turns out it was a virus. This is a program that purported to modify the VBIOS of your RTX 30 series graphics card and completely remove the low hash rate limiting functions from it entirely and reflash the BIOS to the card. Now,
Yep.
anybody with an NVIDIA card should know that gone are the days of using NV Flash to flash BIOSes because now they're signed cryptographically and you just can't flash custom BIOSes to your NVIDIA cards anymore.
It's VBIOS.
Yeah,
VBIOS specifically.
yes, correct.
Yeah, it was a third party was pushing out this fake driver that claimed for faster mining for all NVIDIA LHR GPUs, and turns out it's a virus bomb.
Yeah, pretty big one too. It turned out to be dropped a Trojan, modified some PowerShell policies, created new files and system directories, eats up your CPU. So if you're a miner and you installed this, sucks to be you.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh man.
I don't think
Uh,
BioStar can help you now.
Let me read into it real fast here. Software package modifies Windows PowerShell policies, deletes and creates new files and system directories, and causes abnormally high CPU usage, among other things.
Among other things.
Big, big shocker there.
Yep, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's going to be a virus.
let me download this piece of software that's going to modify my $1,500 CPU or a GPU.
You
What's the
know,
worst that could happen,
well, the worst that could happen is it actually tries and bricks that $1,500 GPU,
right?
which I'm not gonna lie would be kind of funny.
Yeah, well, okay. To be fair, there are two kinds of miners. There's the guy that went to Best Buy, bought a graphics card that he wanted a game on and was going to use it for mining when he's at work or, something like that.
Or overnight, sure.
Yeah, if you're that guy, I feel really bad for you. That being said, if you're the guy that went to Best Buy and bought like 10 GPUs using family members and friends or Micro Center, for the one per person kind of deal, and you built a giant mining rig out of these cards, I gotta say, I got 99 problems, but you're not one of them.
That's a good way of putting it there. Oh boy. Uh, yeah. The last paragraph on this Ars Technica article, but you should use common sense when downloading and installing this kind of software. If mysterious drivers from a previously unknown third party promise a silver bullet fix for a problem that the entire cryptocurrency mining community has not been able to figure out, you probably shouldn't install them. And if you did, sucks sucks to suck.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. Let me go through here, see if there's anything else that piques our interest. Here's something. Where is your Steam Deck pre-order email? Valve explains. They're going out in small batches rather than all at once. The next batch won't be arriving until Monday, March 7th, and then they'll go out in weekly batches each Monday, presumably through the month of June. If you have a reservation for Q1 2022, you should see your email by the end of March. Looks like they're going to be starting in April. Um, so it looks like Valve won't send you an invite until your unit is actually ready to ship. And once it's ready to ship, you'll have 72 hours to complete the purchase. And yes, your little $5 reservation fee counts towards the sale, so you won't have to pay anything extra for shipping or anything like that. You will, however, have to decide if you're interested in becoming an early adopter. So, if you are looking for a Steam Deck and you're like, where's my pre order email? That's why, because they are limiting how many they are sending out.
You know, as far as being an early adopter for the Steam Deck, based on what I've seen from the reviews that like LTT has done and a couple of other outlets, being an early adopter on the Steam Deck might not be a bad thing.
Uh, yes and no. In my personal experience, I tend to not be a early adopter for anything. The first and only time I decided to be an early adopter was for the Motorola 360 smartwatch, and I had nothing but problems with it. And these are the results of trying to live on the bleeding edge. Buy things before all the bugs have been worked out and stuff. Just like people will buy, running out and buying the AMD RX 6000 cards, and then suddenly, oh no, our driver support is awful. You know?
Oh, sure. I mean, version 1.0 syndrome is absolutely a thing.
Yeah. I personally, I like my money, and I don't want to throw it at something that hasn't been fully tested.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, hell, the 5000 series CPUs came out for Ryzen, and I was still rocking a 2700X.
Yeah, what was I on? Oh, I don't remember. Oh, I had a laptop actually, not even an AMD processor. I had like a
Mm-hmm.
i7 750H, I think,
Okay. Okay.
with a RTX 2060. So this is the 3060 is not my first foray into real time ray tracing.
How do you liking it? How are you liking the Nvidia Broadcast, among other
Oh
things,
man.
coming from AMD?
I should mention that we are both using Nvidia Broadcast at the moment.
I'm an Nvidia shill. I always have been an Nvidia shill. Every single time I've tried to run an AMD GPU, even back oh man, well, I'm gonna look that up. It was actually I I take that back. It was prior full on AMD. It was ATI. It was what I was
Ah.
running. That was ATI was my last non Nvidia graphics card. Looking here. This is the Radeon 9000 series.
Oh wow. I've
Yeah,
got
it's the
hey, there's a Radeon 9200 in this eMac over here.
yeah. Yeah, I was running a Radeon 9000 series in 2004, and that was my last non Nvidia graphics card. And the GPU that I had before that, it was an upgrade. It was an upgrade, and I got it specifically so I could play Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 3 on PC, and it was a 8 megabyte graphics card, and I was shocked because it could play DVDs. Yeah, yeah.
That's
I I,
brilliant.
I have been running Nvidia ever since, starting off with a 8600 GS, then to an 8600 GT, then to a EVGA and 980 GTX Plus, and then continuing up the ladder from there.
Yeah, at first I was like, "Oh, an Nvidia shill." Now I'm like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I get
Well,
it."
the thing is, especially with the 20 series and the 30 series cards, is Nvidia is focusing on AI, artificial intelligence, self-driving cars, supercomputers, machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, and all of their R&D into these fields is trickling down to the consumer products. That's why we're getting real-time ray tracing, we're getting DLSS, we're getting Nvidia Broadcast that has the capacity to filter out uh, anything that's really not you. Question, Drew, can you hear me taking a drag on this?
A little bit at first, but I think it's only because it's right next to the mic.
What about this? Can you hear me crumpling this can? Can you hear that?
Not really.
Nvidia Broadcast.
I'm
AI.
going to bang on the table.
Nothing.
You can't
Can't
hear
hear
a
anything.
thing.
Can't hear anything.
I'm going to snap. You can't hear a thing. I
Can't hear
love it.
anything.
I love it.
And this is why we're getting this stuff, because Nvidia has focused so hard. Basically, they're drafting is what's happening. Their AI research is the NASCAR in front, and the consumer market is the NASCAR behind them drafting through. So a lot of their research is trickling down to the consumer market. That's why we're getting things like this that AMD still hasn't fully caught up with yet. Oop, I cut my finger.
Oh,
But yeah,
stupid beer
like
can.
yeah, honestly, that's a big part of the reason why I've been an Nvidia guy is because they've been leading the way in a lot of fields that AMD hasn't really been focusing on. Now, granted, AMD has come a long ass way. I mean, when they initially came out with Ryzen, they had Intel going, "What the fuck is this?" And it took Intel a good 2 or 3 years to come up with something that was comparable starting with the 10100F, or the was it the 10100F? There's the 10300F, the sub $100 i3 processor.
Yeah, I think that was the. I don't know which. I think that was the 10100.
Yeah, and anyways, that's just why I've been an Nvidia guy. Like they've been leading the way in a lot of areas that other tech companies haven't, because they've been focusing on gaming and, like Intel focusing on enterprise and stuff like that. Granted, Intel did gaming as well, but they weren't really focused on the AI aspect of things. I mean,
Yeah,
this whole background behind me. I mean, granted, there's some flickering here and there. Well, let me see if I can get some. Now that I'm talking about it, I can't make it happen. Uh, but Nvidia Broadcast is basically, oh, there you go, a little bit on the top of my head. Nvidia Broadcast is using AI to create a artificial background. I have no green screen. I have nothing. It's just my room behind me. There's nothing behind me.
yeah, and
And honestly, this is operating on a webcam.
yeah,
It's not even like a functional, DSLR camera lens. It's just a webcam, you know.
yeah. And it works. It works pretty well. Yeah, and especially
Yeah,
considering you don't have a legitimate green screen. Now, I do have a green screen, and you know,
and green headphones.
and green, yes, and green headphones. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're probably wondering what is up with this dude's headphones. Yeah, my headphones are green. It's the Razer Kraken headphones. I love them. They're wonderful headphones. But yes, they are green, and when you have a green screen, uh, it, it's not a bug. It's a feature.
Takes wireless to a whole new level.
It really does. It really does. Now, what I am using Broadcast for is obviously background noise reduction, but also noise reduction on the video feed.
Yep.
And I think it actually cleans up pretty well because this webcam is super noisy at the best of times.
Oh yeah. You know what? I'm actually going to do a test real fast. I'm going to pull up a music video on YouTube. Curious if it uh excuse me. I'm curious if it's going to cancel it out.
Well, hopefully it does. Nope,
Does not,
does not.
because it probably recognizes it as voice.
Oh,
Um
yeah, absolutely.
but in terms of like a kid screaming in the background, I've seen videos where that's completely canceled out. And like we demonstrated earlier,
Nothing. Absolutely
Nvidia
nothing.
Broadcast, man. Nvidia Broadcast. It's dope. And I feel like this should be sponsored by Nvidia at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
I was about to say that.
no, sorry for going on about it, but Drew is a recent Nvidia convert, and he's digging the features.
Not really a convert, more just I've rediscovered the magic of Nvidia.
Yeah, yeah, it's like pulling out the Legos that you had 20 years ago and going, "Oh my God, I can build so many things."
Yeah, absolutely. It's like yeah, it's like rediscovering what made you happy. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, I think that pretty close to wraps it up, Drew. Do you have anything else for us today?
I sure don't. Do you?
I don't. Southern Colorado Computer Enthusiasts. We are a Facebook group, anti-scalping Facebook group. If you are found to be scalping, we don't want you here. We focus on good prices, fair pricing. Building a community of PC enthusiasts, people that help each other. I've actually myself. I've actually driven an hour to Colorado Springs to pick up a graphics card for somebody that didn't have a car, and drove it back to Pueblo for them. So this is what we're about. So join us. Look us up on Facebook. Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Find us on Facebook. You can go directly to sccetech.net/Facebook. And also, we now have a website, sccetech.net.
Thanks to Drew. He is the one hosting that. Thank you, Drew.
You are welcome, Corey. And with that, my name is Drew.
My name is Corey.
And we will see you next week.